is real. We did a real expansion draft last year. We built our teams from real expansion draft possibilities. Because of that, the teams didn't look that good. And then we flipped a coin for the number 1 in overall pick. You won the coin toss and got the number 1 overall pick. You took Bryce Young. I took C.J. Stroud. So, helped my team just a little bit right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so we built our teams, and it's both of our teams have a few good players, but we were building from expansion rosters. So we're trying to add to it. Last year we also did a round of free agency. We just finished this offseason's round of free agency. We're now on to the draft, and our draft picks are a product of our Madden simulation from Thursday. We did this live on YouTube, played a game head-to-head, then simmed the season. In that season, you ended up with a 6-10 record. Right? Is that right? 6-10-1. I think we tied each other or something. And I was 7-9-1. Madden Sim really giving us a lot of credit for our crappy teams. But you have the number 11 pick in the NFL draft, and I have the number 15 pick in the NFL draft. Sound good?
Correct. Now, I was quite annoyed by that because clearly my team was worse than that.
You were banking on having Caleb Williams.
I was certainly thinking about it, yeah. I mean, I felt like the very least the very least I could come up with after that miserable showing last season was, well, at least I'll have the number 1 overall pick and I'll be able to overhaul it. And then free agency came and went. I'm like, no, I'm not going to get Kirk Cousins. That would be a desperation move. It would be a knee-jerk reaction to the season that was. And at number 11, I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to do a knee-jerk, I need a quarterback. Who can I get at number 11? No, Bryce Young is my guy. He was my guy last year. It didn't go well year 1. Nonetheless, it will go better year 2. So I'm not taking a quarterback. I am, however, taking my number 11 pick and fixing my quarterback's problems.
We're going to go through the draft here. We're going to reset for social in a minute here. Let's just make sure we go through the rules. So with the 11th pick, you can take any player that was drafted at 11. For instance, Olu Fashanu from Penn State went at number 11. So you can take anybody who was picked at number 11 or later. They're all fair game for you.
Uh-huh.
So you're up here now for social. The London Monarchs are on the clock at pick number 11.
Yep.
Bryce Young's your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
5 quarterbacks are already off the board.
Right.
So Bo Nix remains here. You have a chance if you want to bring Bo Nix in to compete with Bryce Young, but where are you going to go here with pick number 11?
Yeah, well, we already have a solid offensive line. We added Marquise Brown in free agency. We added Saquon Barkley in free agency. And now we're going to take the number 11 overall pick, and we're going to trade it to San Francisco for Brandon Ayuk. And we're going to pay him the money that he wants and deserves. And now our whole offense looks different.
There's no way that's allowed.
It's allowed. It's done. It's happened.
John Lynch
already okayed it.
John is not saying yes to that.
John, at the number 11 overall pick on draft night, John is ripping your arm off for that trade. And I'm comfortable with it. It's the A.J. Brown deal adjusted for inflation. Like, it's a higher draft pick, but I'm not giving up the 3rd as well.
What are you paying Ayuk here?
Whatever he wants.
Now we might have to check the cap. I'm over here thinking we're not going to get close to the salary cap, and you might now. Bringing in Ayuk, paying him $30 million a year probably.
Yeah, I'm good with that. We can make that work.
All right, well, I
got some good cap guys. I got some good math people.
Where's Spielberger? Get him back on the horn. How's he going to shoot this one in?
I'm hiring the doctor away from Carolina and making him my cap guy.
He can't cap it. He doesn't know what he's doing with the cap. Eric? So you can't. That's not part of the rules here.
Yeah, it's fine. I can do whatever was available at the time my draft pick came on the clock. When my draft pick was on the clock, Brandon Ayuk.
Could somebody call John Lynch? Somebody get John Lynch on the phone and ask him if he would actually do this. Who would the Niners pick at pick 11 here? You got Fosh, Brock Bowers. Imagine if they took Bowers. The Niners add him to the mix. Because the top 3 receivers are already off the board. So that's your pick at 11, huh?
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk. I can't veto this in the league.
No.
If this was fantasy, I could veto this.
And Ayuk, I mean, look, one of the most efficient receivers in the game. I think the only thing that holds him back in terms of numbers, production relative to other elite wide receivers is the fact that he plays in the 49ers offense. Not that that's not a good offense, but they have so many mouths to feed. This guy averaged 2.65 yards per route run last season. The only receiver in the NFL with a higher PFF grade was Tyreek Hill. Brandon Ayuk is an absolute superstar, and he's one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL for whatever that's worth.
Wow, your team's coming along here.
That's what I'm saying.
Your team's looking pretty good. What if the Niners get Laiatu Latu with pick 11? Add him to that defensive
Would ruin
line.
your day a little bit.
It would. That's not really happening. We're not going to simulate what the Niners actually do because Olu Fashanu was really the pick at 11. So that puts me up at pick 15, which happens to be the exact pick where that man Latu went to the Indianapolis Colts. So he's available for me here, Sam. Just to reset where we are here. Pick 15 in the actual draft was Latu. 16 was Byron Murphy. 17 Dallas Turner. 18 Amarius Sims. 19 Jared Verse. 20 Troy Fautanu. Those are just some of the guys that would be available here. But those who follow know where I stand on Latu.
And injuries.
The fact that we tend to ignore them. But I talked to the doctors. Talked to the Hornets trainers. And the North Reading Hornets, I don't know if we've upgraded the training room since the late 90s, 2000 when I graduated. We had like a little training room, and no one worked in there. But we had a little training room.
Okay.
But they checked out Laiatu, and we're taking him at pick 15. He's cleared by our doctors.
Right.
And so, look, best player on the board, best defensive player in the draft, first defensive player off the board. We're taking Latu at pick 15, adding him to that defensive line that has Daniil Hunter, Charles Omenihu, DJ Reader. We're loading up on that defensive line. I have to say, Sam, I think our year 2 expansion teams are going to look a little bit better now moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that's a good pick. I can't quibble, can't argue with that. Obviously, we were pushing Latu as one of the best players in this draft. His statistical profile says that he's not just a good player, but he's an elite prospect. He's up there right behind the Bosa brothers, the Myles Garretts of the world. Like, he's closer to those guys than he is everybody else, which means, you know, you should be viewing him on the level, minimum on the level of Aiden Hutchinson and Will Anderson, who were number 2 and number 3 overall picks in their drafts, right? Or was Anderson 4?
Anderson was 3.
3, yeah, 2 and 3. So, you know, you should be viewing him as essentially a top 3, top 5 player in a draft if you're comfortable with the injury history, which obviously you are.
I am. We're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
With the Hornets. So now I have Latu, Daniil Hunter, who I mentioned, Charles Omenihu, Derek Barnett, defensive tackles. We'll talk about defensive tackles in a minute. You can go with your second-round pick. So you have pick 43.
Yeah, 43.
In the second round.
43 was an interesting place to be drafting. There were quite a few players that I was keen on at number 43 overall.
I'll tell you what, the difference, my pick would change at 43 versus 47, where I think I'm going to have it.
Well, interestingly, 47 was one of the players I was thinking of. Tyler Nubin, the safety from Minnesota. I was keen on him as a player at this spot. There were a couple of other guys. I mean, Chris Jenkins, Mike Sanderson. Would be interesting. Adonai Mitchell, if I want to go, let's just full Chief style. I'm overhauling my wide receiver core the way they overhaul their offensive line. Adonai Mitchell at 52 would have been an option. But I decided to stay sensible. Look, offensive line has been a relative strength of this roster. Let's keep it a strength. Let's keep building. And Jackson Powers-Johnson, I think, is a first-round talent whose only question is a little bit of an injury history.
But we don't care.
Well, I'm going to at least roll the dice on that. I think at pick 43 overall, he's more than value in terms of the risk. I can play him at center or guard.
Well, you've already updated your depth chart, I see.
Yeah. I can play him at center or guard. So, JPJ.
When we may have done this previously, ahead of time, I may have forgotten. I forgot somebody.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't have my draft board handy when I was doing it. A receiver. We'll figure it out. All right, so my second pick here. So I got pick 47. I'm not loving the second round here. I didn't really love the second round, the way things fell in the NFL draft. A couple of the players I liked. I really liked Edgerrin Cooper, who just went ahead of my pick. He may have been the pick if he was still there at 47. I'm not loving what happened here with the second round of the draft. But I'm going to go back to the defensive line. I'm taking Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Again, going back to the trenches, going back to shoring things up on the defensive line. Jenkins is going to be right next to the guy that he's kind of helping replace in Cincinnati which is DJ Reader. And now we've got Javon Kinlaw and Poona Ford as your 3 and 4 defensive tackles. That looks a little bit cleaner up front. So a starting defensive line of Daniil Hunter, Laiatu Latu on the edges, DJ Reader and Chris Jenkins on the interior. Now we're talking. We actually have a strength of a team here, and that's the defensive line. So I'm going Jenkins in the second round. I didn't love a lot of the options here, but he was, for me, the cleanest prospect. Love his run-stopping ability. Number 2 run-stop percentage, PFF history, going back to 2014. Leonard Williams is number 1. So I love Jenkins' playmaking ability in the run game. Solid pass rusher, but he's gonna play right away. I think he can make some plays for us.
Yeah, another good pick. Can't hate it at all. My third round pick, number 75 overall. Now,
you have 75 and I have 79.
Yes. So this is a motivating factor in this pick. You picking at 79, obviously I know who you want. It's not a secret. You want Jermaine Burton, wide receiver from Alabama. You're number 4 wide receiver in this draft, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
don't touch him.
And then look, I'm like, I didn't love Jermaine Burton as much as you. I did, however, like him a lot as a player. And I was aware, my other problem is I knew that Troy Franklin was not going to make it to my next pick, a number 111 in the draft. He get taken at 103 or something.
Yeah.
102. So I'm like, so Troy Franklin's not going to make it to my next pick. And I get to snipe Steve on a player he wanted. So I'm going to take Jermaine Burton at number 75 overall. And now I've added a wide receiver to my room.
Cannot take Jermaine Burton.
I just did. I took him.
I let you concoct a trade in the first round.
Uh-huh.
For Brandon Ayuk. We let that slide.
Let's just pause a beat, right? From Kevontae, From Kevontae Turpin essentially being my number 1 wide receiver, right? Now I've got Brandon Ayuk, Marquise Brown. I still have Kevontae Turpin. Jermaine Burton has been added to the mix. And then we still got all the useless receivers that weren't doing anything in the Madden game last year. Now, it transformed the whole core.
You cannot snipe Burton. Like, I don't want anyone else in the third round.
I just took him.
You cannot do that.
This is the classic war room, where they zoom in and 85%.
I'm punching walls right now.
85% of the joy in the room is knowing that you just hosed another team. And then they cut to the other war room and there's you destroying the furniture.
Need Burton far more than you do.
I know. That's why
Corey
it's funny.
Davis retired on me. I like Marvin Mims and Josh Downs, but we need help at receiver. Oh, no.
You could take Troy Franklin.
Do I go Troy Franklin?
He's a big model guy.
Sure is. But I don't know. At this point, why is he falling?
Hard to say.
Now I've got questions.
Because of his 40 time when he had the flu or whatever it was?
The slalom, though. He's slaloming the gauntlet, the slalom gauntlet, I think.
It was a rough gauntlet. I'm not going to lie.
Has made our scouts wary of Troy Franklin. All right. I do have another play. I mean, I was obviously eyeing Jermaine Burton. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah.
I do have another player near the top of my board.
Okay.
At pick 79. I didn't tell our production team Troy Franklin here, though, so.
No, you can't do that, dude.
So I can't do that. I'm going Christian Haynes, a guard out of UConn, going back to the trenches. My first 3 picks, going to shore up the offensive and defensive line. I think Haynes can come in and compete at left guard with Brady Christensen. And now we're feeling pretty good about our offensive line here. I think Haynes is an instant day 1 starter, and you don't find a whole lot of day 1 starters. I do love Jermaine Burton. He would have been the pick. So I'm the guy that would have gone up for the press conference. And it's like, yeah, we took Chris Jenkins in the second round. A couple guys came off the board that we would have taken ahead of him, right? I'm not going to tell you we got our guy. I'm not going to lie. We got our second pick here in the third round. We got our second choice.
You're going to undermine him right from the off, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll build up Christian Haynes. We'll say, look, he was our guy all along. We're thrilled to get a day 1 starter at pick 79. Christian Haynes, a guard out of UConn. Love the way he moves. Good zone scheme type of guy. Again, I think he's upgrading our current roster. There's a lot of GMs out there that draft against their current roster. And if a guy can come in and replace a player on the current roster, it's good value for them. And I think I've done that, certainly with my first 3 picks. Meanwhile, You're just getting wide receiver 4 with Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
Would have started for me.
4th round, number 111. I'm going to take a player that at periods during this pre-draft process, I think was seen as the number 1 running back in the draft. Jalen Wright, the running back from Tennessee, the speedster, 4'3" back with explosive playmaking ability, can take it to the house at any time. we're going to turn a weakness into a strength. We're going from Roshan Johnson as my number one guy and no real options outside of him to Saquon Barkley, Jalen Wright as the home running hitting speedster, and then Roshan as a third back. I like it. Jalen Wright.
You really just played Madden. This whole
This is where you should draft him. Pick number 111 for Jalen Wright.
No, it's
Sign
fine.
me up.
I'm just saying you're getting your speed guys and everything. I'm sticking to the board.
That is sticking to the board. This is high level drafting right now. Drafting Jalen Wright at number 111. Perfect. Love it.
Now we may have. I can't be need drafting here. Troy Franklin's now off the board. Pick 115. I know I've already loaded up at corner in free agency, but if I'm going to say I'm picking the best players on the board, we're going to stick with that. We're going to stick with that strategy. It's going to pay off in 3 or 4 years here, Sam. I'm going TJ Tampa, cornerback out of Iowa State. At one point, rumored to go in the first round, goes in the fourth round. In real life, he's going to go in the fourth round here, and just add in depth.
I'm surprised with your proclivity for drafting injured players. You weren't all over Peyton Wilson's
I should have
slide in the draft.
I know. I should have. Wilson was in the mix here. Where did he end up going? He went at 100. I could have gotten him in the third round, but I thought Haynes was the top player on my board. He's the top player on my board there. Now that Burton was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going TJ Tampa. That's good value in the fourth round.
No, solid.
54 on the consensus board. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling like we got a steal here on draft night.
Absolutely. That's certainly how you're selling it to the media.
You're up in round 5.
Fifth round, pick number 146. I'm not done adding reinforcements in the trenches. I'm going to go with a guy that I'd kind of identified as a sleeper, a mid-round edge rusher that I would like in the draft. Javon Solomon, the edge rusher from Troy, right?
Yep.
Kind of weird body type, but just productive player. And yeah, maybe he's not going to do much, but this is where you roll the dice on somebody like that. I think he can come in, add to that rotation, and be a solid contributor.
It's a good pick. Bill's got him. Has a chance to be that pass rush specialist. That's where we're rounding out the roster right here. And here's what I do. Here's what I'm going to do. I promise you, I will not round out the roster with guys who are just going to play special teams. All right, we're not going to do that. We got guys that are going to be potential starters, and that's what we're getting at pick 150, round 5. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Can't believe he's still available here. Yeah. My numbers love him. They love Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And Eagles got him in real life. I had some questions about him on film, especially the scheme. Last year, a little slow, getting out into coverage, covering running backs and everything. But I think Trotter, really, really productive player that I love to get here in round 5. I think he's got a chance to compete for a starting linebacker spot in the next year or two. And we're getting that in round 5. So I'm happy with Jeremiah Trotter. A lot of defensive players here for me. Trusting the model.
Yeah, I like it. 6th round, still not done adding reinforcements on the offensive line. You can never have too much contingency along there. So pick number 187, we are going with Christian Mahogany, the offensive guard out of Boston College.
It's another potential starting guard.
Right?
In round 6. I like Mahogany. He crushes people.
That's the idea.
You're adding some power.
Uh-huh.
So you've drafted 2 guards.
Well, a guard / center and a guard. So we got some flexibility with JPJ. He could he could start at left guard immediately, or he could start at center for me immediately. And then Christian Mahogany gives me probably a backup guard right away, but a guy that could step in to the starting role if I want to put JPJ at center.
All right. I am feeling like I've neglected receiver.
Yeah.
And now the strategy of just, keep drafting the best players and everything, it's not going to feel great when we head into this year with the receiving. I like my top 2 guys, but the receiving depth is lacking.
What is your depth chart currently at wide receiver?
Marvin Mims and Josh Downs. Now, Corey Davis coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
We're banking on Corey staying unretired here, coming back.
Unretired.
That he's going to be back.
You're bringing him back in the way the Jets weren't.
Yeah. We're going to bring Corey Davis back.
Okay.
Russell Gage is still there. Did he retire? I think he was talking about retirement.
When you have to ask if your receivers
Devin
retired,
Tompkins just had an off-field issue. He's getting released.
Yeah, okay.
So we don't really have a lot of wide receiver depth. We're going to have to look at
it's not great.
Undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
We might have to make some trades before camp here. Might have to do something. Might be trading next year's draft picks. Is that allowed? You already got IU because T. Higgins available. Let me call the Bengals down the street here. All right, we're in round 6. Once again, sticking to the board at pick 191, I'm going DJ James, another cornerback out of Auburn. I'm going to be rolling 6 deep at corner.
Man, I like that. Your draft. I like your draft.
Thank you.
Now, you haven't necessarily addressed needs, but
No. This is what I'm telling you. You stick to it. You know, the starting group of Kendall Fuller and Darius Williams at corner. Let's go with Bryce Hall, DJ Turner, Joshua Williams, and now TJ Tampa and DJ James. But, you know, someone in the chat thinks we can move TJ Tampa to safety anyway. So we got that. We're just best players are going to play. Best players are going to play.
Yeah, but the somebody in the chat.
Don't worry about it. Don't mention who it is. Doesn't matter. We're just loading up on good football players here. So okay. I'm happy with my draft, even though they're all on defense and I don't have enough playmakers. CJ Stroud's going to drag them. We're going to drag these pass catchers. If we were ranking my pass catchers, PFF.com.
Wouldn't be great.
Yours are good now, though.
Mine, they've gone from a weakness to a strength.
And you got Saquon and Jalen Wright coming out of the backfield. You got some dynamism over there.
I have read the messages loud and clear from that Madden game, and I have attempted to fix it.
I thought you were going to say on the message boards.
Oh, God,
as a GM, you're just reading the message boards.
No. I've read not between the lines. I've seen the evidence in front of my eyes, and I've undertaken the fix.
You're the guy that overrates the one game.
I mean, it was the one piece of evidence we had.
All right, you're up. Round 7.
My final draft pick number 231, very close to the end of the draft. Safety, Jalen Key out of Alabama. Transfer, right? He was from UAB or something, transferred into Alabama, still played at a pretty high level last season. Good coverage player, good across the board, really, and you can never go wrong adding DBs out of a Nick Saban defense. The last one we're going to see for presumably a while, if not ever.
Well, good job there. So that's pick 231. I've got pick 235. I'm going with an undrafted player. He did not get drafted, but he will here. Gabriel Murphy, the undersized edge rusher out of UCLA. The size isn't an issue. It's the small arms of Gabriel Murphy. Still surprised he didn't get drafted.
Couldn't believe he went undrafted. Like I thought about adding him as my final draft pick as well. I was like, okay, there's not that many players that are after my pick who went undrafted that I would be keen on snagging. And now, I definitely thought about him.
Do we have last year's draft handy? Did you draft? Where is that? Did you draft Ivan Pace Jr.?
I don't remember.
Last year? Because
I don't think so.
Last year we did undrafted free agency where we could
I think he was who we filled out the roster with, just rookies.
How did you get him ahead of me? Because I would have drafted him.
Maybe you're just bad at this.
Where's your draft picks? Can't find them from last year. But you ended up with Ivan Pace Jr. I think you may have actually taken him in the draft though.
Okay, I may have. It's possible, but I don't remember.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think I did.
You took Terrell Smith.
I did. He's still on the roster.
Kobe Turner, Steve Avila.
He's still part of my depth chart.
It's not bad. Where's my draft last year? CJ Stroud. Then I took DJ Turner, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs. See, I loaded up on my receivers last year. I'm trusting those draft picks. Mm-hmm. Darnell Washington. I got Clayton Tune last year. And then we got the undrafted free agents. Then I had to sign kickers and punters and the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of the draft. Do you want to add any undrafted free agents?
I didn't add any undrafted free agents, but the one addition that I made, so I needed to, I'm having faith, keeping faith with my quarterback room-ish, right? We're keeping Bryce Young as QB1. I have faith. I saw the Madden numbers, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Good season.
Really trusting that Madden
Trusting
sim,
it.
Huh? I mean, Stroud was terrible in the Madden sim. Should I have replaced him?
But remember, the sim happened after the game, right? So couldn't play in the game. Those were clearly just early season rookie growing pains for Bryce Young. Once I got out of the way and let the game play, Bryce Young was cooking.
Game slowed down for him.
I'm going to keep Tyrod Taylor as my backup as QB2. I think that's a good solution. He was on a one-year deal. We've brought him back. We've extended Tyrod. I think that's a good spot. QB3, I'm bringing in Adrian Martinez, UFL MVP, as my QB3.
Really?
UFL MVP, UFL championship game MVP, apparently the rushing leader in the UFL as well. Adrian Martinez, QB3, I'm doing it.
Look at you, UFL scouting, huh?
Yeah.
Good for you. The only undrafted free agent that I'm really looking at here is Leonard Taylor III.
Okay.
Went undrafted.
Yeah.
Still The model still liked him.
Model still liked it.
And we're going to go back, 2 years ago, 2022 was explosive, looked like that explosive off the ball 3 technique. And we're going to bring him in undrafted free agency. I'm going to have to cut some people.
Well, I already made some cuts. I didn't necessarily keep track of who I cut, but
I haven't updated my
if you're not
depth
on the
chart.
roster anymore, you got cut. Sorry. Go see the Turk and hand in your playbook.
How do you report these things? By the way, I have Malik. My QB room was Malik Willis, Clayton Tune, and then Felipe Franks.
Yikes.
Because Felipe was gonna.
Yeah.
Felipe has one of the greatest throws in football history.
Yeah.
And tight end ability.
We're going old
So you don't
school.
get that often.
We're going old school with the cuts. I'm just pinning the new roster on the message board, and if you're not on it, you got to go hand in your playbook.
On the message board on the Teams app. Hey, log into Teams if you don't see your name.
If your name's not on there, you got cut.
Oh, I got some hilarious stories about getting cut. And guys getting cut while we're here. We'll recap the draft in a minute. But in spring training, when it's cut time in spring training, they let guys go like pitch for the day, and then they come back, pull them in. Hey, you're released.
Nice.
They take then it's like they didn't get a guy one time in time, and there's like 4 fields, and most fields it's like a diamond, so it's like there's a central area and you can get to all the fields pretty easily. But the Giants complex was like linear, so field 4 was like way down the end. Some guy walked all the way to field 4 to start practice for the day, and they jumped in a golf cart, drove down, picked him up off the field, threw him in the golf cart, drove him back so they could, send him home.
Nice.
Some great times getting released.
Great times.
Mine were pretty clean, though. You walk in the building, they're like, hey, you got to go see you. Mm. Then you get back to your locker and you're deleted.
This is my approach to solving the problem, which is in today's world with Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and the like, you don't, as soon as you inform anybody, it's out there, right? And there's no way, you can't cleanly inform everybody in the sort of, the person, like the personal touch. We go have a one-on-one meeting. Let's explain. By that time, the news is out. Schefter's tweeting it. Now you look like a jackass because you haven't informed everybody. I'm putting it up on the notice board. If you want to come see me after, that's cool. We talk about it.
I mean, with millennials these days and Gen Z, you can just text messages basically in person. I mean, that whole generation, they like date over text message. You know what I mean?
Instagram so you could DM them.
The old we want to do this in person. Like in person for them is like a nice text message, couple emojis.
So your solution would actually be the team unfriends the player on Instagram. That's how you know you got cut.
That's another possibility.
Yeah.
I would say for millennials, a text message will do. For Gen Z, if you unfollow them on Instagram, message has been sent.
So that's instead of the player doing it to the team just goes out there and unfriends all the guys that got cut.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like
so
it.
Me and the social team, we're going to be tight. I'm going to be like, hey, unfriend these few guys. What if they don't check Instagram in a few days, they might just keep showing up for practice. But hey, the key fob won't work too. That always works. All right. Do we have a recap of our drafts here?
Yep.
Coming up on the screen. Here's Sam's. You want to walk through your draft?
Okay. My draft, pretty happy about it. Obviously, the first round we traded for Brandon Ayuk. That's the single best draft pick that got spent this year, the same way it was when the Eagles brought in A.J. Brown. Second round, Jackson Powers-Johnson, listed as a center here. It's up in the air where we're going to play him so far. We're going to play it out in training camp, see how it works. We might play him at guard. We might play him at center. Third round pick, we sniped you and also brought in an elite potential playmaker at wide receiver. We're aware of the off-field concerns. We have a very strong backroom staff. We're comfortable that we can put the right environment around Jermaine and really get the most out of him. And that's where you take a gamble like that.
Furious. Absolutely furious over here that you took my player.
Fourth round, elite, explosive running back talent, Jalen Wright. We add some speed to that backfield and some cover for Saquon. Fifth round, we got Javon Solomon. Sixth round, Christian Mahogany. And seventh round, Jalen Key.
I mean, it's the second straight year you've taken my player in the third round because you knew I loved him. You took Kobe Turner from me last year. You took Jermaine Burton from me this year. We know that this would never happen in real life because nobody would know.
This happens all the time.
This would stay, but my love for those players would stay in the building. You wouldn't be able to spite me.
This is all part of the game. GMs know who other GMs like, and if they have the opportunity.
Not at that level.
Of course they do.
Not at that level.
Absolutely.
They don't know. They would not know my feelings for Kobe Turner and for Jermaine Burton.
They know.
At draft time. All right. Here's my draft recap. Started with Laiatu Latu, the edge defender out of UCLA.
I really liked your draft. It was a good draft.
Thanks. I think it's a lot of good players. Chris Jenkins, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. Christian Haynes, starting guard potential right out of UConn. Cornerback TJ Tampa in round 4. Jeremiah Trotter in round 5. Big steal there. Cornerback DJ James, and then Gabriel Murphy, who went undrafted in real life, but we're bringing him in. So we got 2 of the 3 awesome UCLA edge rushers. And we're going to see if Gabriel wants to bring in Grayson as an undrafted free agent as well, just so that the Twins
hang around.
Yeah, the Twins can stay together.
You even going to have him on the roster, or just like bring him in as like a hanger-on?
Might just hang out.
Practice squad.
He'll at least be rookie minicamp invite at least.
You can have him in the practice squad.
Yeah, we get practice squad.
Gabriel makes
Grayson.
the active roster. Grayson makes the practice squad, and then they can stay together, but you're not committed to him.
Gabriel's better though, so we're gonna.
Right.
That's why we drafted him and not Grayson.
Right.
So yeah, I'm feeling good about my draft. I'm feeling good about my offseason.